Is articulate to you how SPM has become the genesis of our orchestrated IT solution strategy. And then drill down into some of the exciting solutions that we have developed on IT service management. Some of the demos that you saw earlier today, I'm going to expand on it. So let's start by giving you a little bit of a history. If you look at how we started and where we are right now, a lot of you started using our issue defect management solution. It was the first process-based solution that we launched back in 1999. And as you started using that solution, you saw the benefits and flexibility that a process-based solution offers. So you started doing more and more solutions on TeamTrack. And as you did that, we started getting a lot of enhancement requests coming to the product development team of capabilities that you wanted to better design and deploy this class of applications. You wanted better visual form design. You wanted process capabilities. You wanted versioning and deployment tools. So we listened to all your feedback and came up with SPM in 2007. So SPM really became our lean process management platform, the platform that allows you to build visually process-centric application and deploy them to a wide array of environments, whether they're on-premise or on demand, running on the cloud. So what this did to our customer base, we saw a viral growth of process-centric applications across ALM, across IT, and even business services. You know, applications that I'm building to serve my line of business, employee time-offs or vacations or expense reimbursements and so on. So with that growth of applications, you really gave us the vision of where we wanted to go in terms of serving the broader orchestrated IT domain. If you look at all the applications we've automated, it's pretty much within the leeway of what IT does today, either building applications for internal IT, for business, or applications that they're building for development. So that became really the genesis of our orchestrated IT solution strategy, using SPM and using the visualization power of SPM to build a class of applications across apps and ops. Within IT operations domain alone, we had 300 customers today that started building their own IT service management solutions. And we had another 25% that was looking to use SPM to build IT SM solutions. So instead of reinventing the wheel, we decided to offer a rich set of solutions out of the box that really go after the IT service management as a domain. And I'll elaborate on that later on today. So let me give you a sense of what we have done in the framework. As you can see, Serena Service Manager is a solution that's fully developed on top of the orchestrated IT solutions framework. And inside the framework, if you drill down, we have SPM as the genesis of visualization and composition. This is where I go and visually design and build my applications. And SPM provides some of the components that you need. It provides, for example, visual tools to design your process, to design your forms, notifications that you need to alert users of critical tasks. But as we started putting our orchestrated IT solutions on top of this framework, we needed additional capabilities. We needed more solution components to make available. So we started making investments in the context of collaboration services, user identity services that you may need, intelligence and calendaring services, and down the road, time and resource management, relationship services that we're bringing into the framework. And the beauty of that is all these shared components that we are developing is not only available to Serena as we are building our own solutions, but is also available to you, our customers, who are building your own custom developed applications on top of this framework. With Serena Service Manager, obviously it's a rich set of solutions that we have provided in IT service management. It spans request, incident, problem, change, and configuration management. We have a lifecycle dashboard that provides end-to-end visibility in the service delivery lifecycle. And with Serena Request Center, now we have that front end, that universal portal that you go to submit requests to IT, again, spanning apps and ops. Let me drill down into Request Center a bit more. You saw it earlier today on the demo, but I want to highlight some of the key capabilities. So Request Center is that front end, is where you go, is the front end of IT service delivery. I like to call it the business face of IT. This is where customers, employees, partners go to access services from a catalog, to request new services, to get status of services that they have submitted. So it becomes that front-end portal for all the activities that you want to centralize. Within the Request Center, we have this enterprise service catalog that allows you to register all the IT services that you're building for your constituencies, for your employees, for your customers, for your partners. And as you build these services, as you categorize them and add them to the catalog, you can also associate with them service level agreements that are relevant to that service. Chargeback information that may be relevant, that you may want to apply in the organization. All the IT services that I'm adding in this catalog are process-based applications. So these are not just some form and then everything goes back to manual processes and emails and Excel. It's complete process automation that has a very rich request form on the front end to engage and capture the audience and collect all the information that you need for that service, as well as a fulfillment process that fully automates the entire life cycle of that particular service. And because the workflow is behind all of this, you get complete audit trail and visibility into everything that's happening to that service request. So when you see that capability highlighted for unified request tracking, all of that is attributed to the fact that you have a workflow engine that's now managing the entire life cycle of this service. With Request Center, we also have an integrated knowledge base. So this is where you can go and design any type of knowledge base articles, send them to review and approvals in the organizations, and once they're approved, you can go ahead and submit them to the knowledge base and version them as they change. And as you saw in the demo earlier today, the knowledge base itself is also fully integrated with incident submission process. So if a user is going to submit an incident, wouldn't it be nice if the system can automatically search and find all the relevant information related to that incident so we don't get duplicate incidents submitted to our back office. And last but not least, probably the most important aspect of Request Center is all the existing investments that you have done, the 10,000 applications that you have collectively deployed on SPM to date, can be registered and added to our enterprise catalog. And that's fantastic. The fact that you now have an inventory of all the processes that you have automated, you can put SLAs on those applications. You can standardize the front end to all those back office processes through the Request Center. I think it's absolutely crucial and something that I hope that you all take advantage of. Everything I'm talking about today is available now, so this is not futures. You saw it on the demo today. It's available now, so I really encourage you to go take a look at it. The demo stations are showing it, and I think you'll be very, very pleased. As a matter of fact, I was thinking of maybe getting one of these for my wife at home, in terms of sending me chores. Wouldn't it be nice to have a nice facility to submit requests, get fulfillment, even get SLAs so she knows when things get done? Well, I'm kind of going a little bit on something to consider, I don't know. So let's talk a little bit about Serena Service Manager. So think of Serena Service Manager as a collection of processes that we have automated in the context of IT service management, spanning incident, problem, change, and configuration management. All these processes are pink verified. So that means we want to make sure that we are taking advantage of ITIL best practices that are out there. And to give you a flavor on what these processes are, incident management, the goal is to restore a service as soon as possible to meet your service level agreements that you have in place. With problem management, our goal is to help diagnose the root cause of some of those incidents. With change management, we deal with review and approval of all the changes that are required to address a problem that you're trying to resolve. And with configuration management, we have a full-blown CMDB underneath that manages all the assets that you have in your service management and then allows you to visualize those assets with problems, incidents, and change. And you see, I have a very nice visualization to see the relationship across all of this. We also provide out-of-the-box dashboards that give you visibility into the end-to-end service delivery lifecycle. These are all the KPIs that are driven from the ITIL v3 specification. And you can drill down and get all sort of information about team allocation, work assignments, what type of documents or items are routed to what type of personnel in the back end, how much time they're spending on it. So it's a very rich set of reporting that, again, gives you that end-to-end visibility that you need. At this point, please help me welcome Ben Cody to stage. Ben Cody is Vice President of IT Service Management Solutions at Serena. And Ben, thanks, Ben.
Thanks, Ellie.
Ben is a veteran in the IT service management domain and a former executive at BMC Remedy. So he really understands the domain and the challenges and problems that you all face in automating IT processes.
Yep.
So Ben, I wanted to get your perspective on what you see a differentiated value that Serena service managers bring into this market compared to what you have seen out there.
Veterans, one way of putting it, actually before I was at BMC, I was with Peregrine Systems, which is now, of course, a part of HP Software. So anyway, veterans, one way of putting it. But to your question, I think you got to look at the challenges that the customers face with the current solutions to put that differentiation in context. First thing is, none of those products, whether it's from BMC or CA or HP, did really what the customer wanted to do out of the box, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but if your customization model isn't a good one, you're going to create a heck of a mess when you go to upgrade. And that's the number one issue, because I was thinking about it before I got up on stage. I can honestly say I probably talked to over 1,000 customers one-on-one in this space, just in the years of working for Peregrine and then for BMC. And this upgrades challenge is a huge one because it dramatically inflates the cost of ownership. You've got expensive consultants. I talked to a customer in the UK. Took them 242 days just to move to one version, not implementing any new functionality. Crazy stuff like that. The other issue that they've got is reporting. I've had customers say, well, this stuff is a black box. I feel like I'm flying blind. They can't get any kind of metrics. And in today's IT climate, it's not like they're getting a lot of additional headcount to do what they're doing, so they can't get any kind of visibility into who's doing what and what the priority of their workloads are and those sorts of things. And then the third thing is the people who use these systems, hate them. And that's a really strong word, but they do. I talked to a guy, a director of infrastructure at it's roughly a $10 billion manufacturing company up in the Nordics, a worldwide company. And the usability of the HP system there had gotten to be such an issue that it had been raised in employee morale scores. And then he had HR breathing down his neck to say, hey, what are you going to do to make this a more positive and constructive work? And that's a true story, for these users who are incredibly dissatisfied and disgruntled. So those are the issues. And if you look at, on the other hand, Serena, some of the innovative things that we've been able to do because we're process-based. Number one, this stuff, and I know the majority of you actually are SBM customers, you know how flexible this stuff is, how easy it is to implement. We've got an upgrade model that doesn't require you to re-implement any customizations that you've made. As John said earlier, we encourage you to do that. We can preserve those. We don't force a new version of the process model when, down your throat when 3.0 comes out. So it's a huge advantage for our customers there. You don't have to have an army of consultants come in to do upgrades and even to implement the system. The second thing is the reporting. If you've used SBM's reporting facility, you know how easy it is to use. I mean, you're not having to buy a separate BI tool and have specialists generate all these reports. I mean, it's just wizard-based. It's on the fly. It's easy. Anybody can do it that you give permissions to. And then, of course, we spend a ton of time human factors engineering the interface. I mean, ultimately, you guys can make the judgment call on whether this stuff looks slick, and I think it does. I mean, hopefully you guys feel the same way. So because we're all process-based at the core, I mean, that makes a big difference, in terms of how we do it.
Fantastic, Ben. Thank you very much.
You bet.
Really
Thanks,
appreciate it.
Yep,
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, speaking of process-based and process orchestration that Ben highlighted and the value that brings to the IT service management domain, within Request Manager and Service Manager solution, all the process orchestrations that we have, they are tightly integrated with each other and also integrated with the shared components that we have available in our Orchestrated IT solution framework. What that means is that incident resolution that are happening can automatically create how-to articles that are submitted and registered to the knowledge base. If I'm having an emergency production release type of a issue that I'm dealing with, I can automatically create IT announcements that are now submitted and broadcasted to all my employees in the request center, which you saw in the demo as well. So they're alerted to the fact that we have a production down situation or a maintenance window that's coming. So all of this is because process is underneath, because we can now manage and orchestrate the relationship between people, between systems, and third-party systems that are also interplay with the overall solution. But we are not stopping here. As John alluded in his keynote, and Steve reiterated that, the fact that all these solutions we are building, whether it's in the apps or whether in the ops, they're all built on the same orchestrated IT solution framework. That means you get the same level of integration and interoperability between our solutions as well, and between the investments that you have done in the organization today. So if I'm doing, for example, a production release as part of the release manager solution that I have, and part of that production release requires changes to the production environment, those changes cannot be submitted to our service manager. Those change requests can be fulfilled, and the CMDB behind service manager is not automatically updated to reflect all those operational changes that's associated with that release. So this is very, very powerful. And the fact that you have SPM underneath all of that, which means that you can still go ahead and tailor these processes so you don't lose your competitive differentiation. And that, I think, is absolutely a winning combination. Let me share with you some of the feedback that we have received from some analysts and others that have looked at our solution to date. Glenn at Forrester thought that the solution that we have with Service Manager and Request Manager is very cool. He was commenting on the fact that a lot of other products in the domain, you're faced with hundreds of fields that you have to deal with to complete a simple operation. And he also really liked the fact that we are process-oriented, that all these models that you see behind the solutions are all visually designed in Composer, and that changes that you make in Composer is reflected in production system in real time. So these are not static models anymore. These are live application models that you can update and immediately update your production systems. Martin at Ovum also thought that we have a very well-conceived, well-architected solution, and he also really liked the process centricity that we bring to the ITSM domain. The fact that now it becomes configurable and adaptable, he saw it as a major differentiator. And an IT director at the Veterans Administration commented that BMC and CA cannot compete with the upgradability and configurability that our Service Manager solution brings to bear. He also went on in saying that he likes the visual environment of designing forms and as well as processes that are associated with ITSM. And their solution that they have implemented is 10 times faster today than a BMC solution that they have in place in one of their other regions. And the total cost of ownership is substantially less, really reinforcing what John said earlier of 1/10 of the cost and 1/10 of time. So let me, at this point, segue into roadmap and highlight some of the key capabilities that we are offering in the next few months. Starting with demand management, this is another solution that we are making available. Think of demand management as a place to capture all the demand that's coming into IT across strategic and non-strategic initiatives. So a central place to capture every demand that's coming in. And some of the processes that are part of the demand management solution have to do with demand capture, with demand prioritization, scoring, voting, PMO approvals that you may have as part of that process, and even financial analysis. Am I meeting the objectives that I set forth for these investments that got approved? So it's a full-blown view of all the investments that IT is approving and making sure that that all the investments that you have done is in line with the initial budget that you had forecasted. Asset management is another solution that we are delivering in the IT operations. This allows IT to associate financial information, physical information, service information with a given asset. And some of the processes that we have made available in asset management have to do with requesting an asset, getting approval for it, the procurement side of it, purchase requisition, the assignment and reassignment of assets, and finally the end of life of a given asset. So the end-to-end view of an asset in the life cycle. And because the asset management system is fully incorporated and integrated with our CMDB that we have underneath in Service Manager, we now have relationship between assets and users. So what that means is a user can go to the request center on the front end, get a list of the assets that they own that or have been assigned to them, and submit an incident directly against that asset. So again, bringing that closed loop back as part of the process. John talked a little bit about the fact that we are coming up with a whole library of IT services. So we wanted, we are now giving you this request center, which gives you ability to go and catalog all the services that you have, all the SPM processes that you have. But we didn't want to stop there. We wanted to come up out of the box and give you a library of 30 IT services here, and later on you see 30 business services that are brought together to populate your catalog and pre-register it with some of these services that you see listed here. For example, I may have user access services that spans really a number of about 30 services that are categorized under internal IT. All these services are IT processes. That means you have a front end for collecting data about the service. You have a back end fulfillment process associated with that service. You have SLAs that are being tracked as part of the service. And because, again, we are using process as the underlying mechanism for this, you have full auditability and traceability on everything that happens to a service end to end. We are the only vendor in the ITSM domain that has applied a full business process management technology to solve the issues and challenges that you're all facing in IT service management. And fundamentally, we believe that ITIL and ITSM is all about process and process automation. Even if you look at the ITIL v3 specification, there was so much focus on continuous service improvement, because I think at last everyone is realizing that IT and managing IT is really about a collection of processes that are all interrelated and integrated. So very much we came up with a request center on the front end to centralize and manage all the requests that you have coming on the front end. We are now coming up with a fulfillment center. So the goal of the fulfillment center to give you one place to go that centralizes all the activities that you need to do as part of a fulfillment process for a given service. And this shell is going to be fully configurable. It's a role-based shell. You'll have access to customizable inboxes. You can see information about your team, what your team members are working on. You have a modern navigational model, and the shell is completely skinnable. So for those of you who really wanted to apply some of your corporate logos and color and schematics, the shell will be completely skinnable, so you can go ahead and do that. I know a lot of you have been asking for that, so that hopefully will be well received. Serena service level management is another core capability of our IT service management domain. And if you're delivering a service, you need to know what is the expected delivery for that service. So with the service level management capability, we are going to let you define the service levels on the front end and relate it to operational level agreements that you have in the back end. So you can, again, manage the service level from the front end all the way to fulfillment activities that are happening. And it's going to surface itself in a couple of different ways. First of all, the users that go to Request Center can also get some ideas of what the expected delivery for that particular service is going to be. So the SLAs will get surfaced on the front end, but also in the back end, as your technicians are getting work items and they're working on this request, then they also have visibility now into SLA, exactly what's happening with that service request, and if you're at the risk of violation, that's going to get alerted inside the ticket. And at the broader level, we are providing management dashboards so managers can view SLA attainment over a period of time and do even predictive analysis so you can basically allow you to understand what possible SLA violations you may have in the future and maybe reallocate resources to prevent that from happening. OVM has identified integration of social media with IT service management as a key trend. So what we are doing here in this area, you all know that we have a very powerful audit trail capability inside SPM today. That as part of that audit trail, I know who are the various people that have touched a service request end to end. So by integrating the social IT capabilities, I'm going to provide a mechanism for these people to interact with each other in real time. And in addition to that, by doing some now process intelligence on top of the historical data that we have, we can now identify circles of expert. Give you an example. Let's say there is a SAP production down request incident that's coming in. By doing the predictive analysis on the change history data that SPM manages and collects over time, I can go and find out who are the people in my company that have been very successful addressing all my SAP problems, and now immediately connect them to people on the front end that are trying to address this service issue that's coming in. So by having that knowledge about the process and who has done what, you can now create a lot of efficiency in terms of how you address some of these service requests. And it also can be a great basis of education, because now you can get some of the new employees and actually connect them to more experts that you have in the organization. So you all use, I'm sure, SPM Composer Visual Form Designer. You go and visually drag and drop, create very modern, very interactive user experiences. But I know some of you also had requirement to go and really add in-page logic to these forms that you're building. How do I go and change the behavior of the form? Maybe based on data that's on the form, maybe based on the type of item that I'm working on, and so on. And today, we rely on a little bit of a JavaScript to make that happen. So we have eliminated that. Now we have provided a visual rule, in-page rule editor that allows you to define very sophisticated rules. And based on the evaluation of that rules, if those conditions are met, we can now trigger a series of actions that you, again, visually design inside Composer. So you can have, for example, sections of the form, hide sections of the form, show them, make some fields mandatory, make others optional. So you have a full flexibility of building a very dynamic and interactive experience by just dragging and dropping. And clearly, this will expedite solution development and further reinforce the message you heard from John of, again, 1/10 of the cost and 1/10 of the time. Just trying to make it easier for you to build applications. So as you're building your own solutions, you're customizing them. That's the power of SPM, and we encourage you to do so. So the challenge that you may face with is, now how do I know what changes have been made? If I get a version of your solution and now you give me the next version of your solution, and meanwhile I've customized my own solution, how do I know what versions are out there, and how do I basically merge some of the differences? So we are coming up with a visual differencing and merge capability that allows you to view two solutions side by side, be able to see what are the changes between those solutions, and selectively copy and paste differences to your own solutions. So what that does allows you to upgrade to orchestrated IT solutions without really losing your customizations that you have done to those solutions. A lot of what I'm talking about today, by the way, is available. We are showing it as part of the roadmap discussion. So if you attend the roadmap discussion, you can see them live in action of what we are coming up with. Web-based administration, I know we have a lot of administrators in the room, and you had a lot of enhancement requests. You wanted to get better performance of the system when you're dealing with large volume of users. If you're trying to do the same activity across the same number of users, a large number of users, instead of going to each one of them and then apply it and then go back and drill down to the next, you wanted to streamline some of these activities. So with the new web-based administration, we have made all of that possible. You have a very high-performing administration facility now. There's a notification engine, a multi-threaded notification engine that's also delivered with this administration that allows you to deal with largely distributed, process alerts needs that you have. So I think you really enjoyed that, and the user interface is completely revamped. So this is going to really take advantage of a lot of the feedback that you have sent us over the last few months. Mobility. Today we have a very mobile workforce, and the demand is constantly changing. A few months ago, we launched our iPhone application with SPM. So you can go and access the status of your request and maybe do approvals through the native iPhone application. At the end of this year, we are coming up with a native Android application as well. So you can go use Android to do basically the same capabilities you had earlier. But later on in the year, by the first half, we are going to use jQuery mobile interface that gives you a facility now to go across any device through a native interface. So you can go through tablets, through BlackBerries, literally a wide array of devices will be supported in the first half. And we are also expanding the set of activities that you can do. So it's not only reviews and approvals, you can actually initiate service requests. You can approve those service requests. You can do fulfillment across those service requests. So basically, full-blown mobility will be provided. And cloud. Today, you know, obviously SPM is fully multi-tenanted. We run on-premise installations. We run completely on the cloud. We serve public clouds and private clouds. But the type of investments that you see us doing in the next few months is to now create what we call a connect cloud, which is a secured connection between your public and private clouds. Having processes that are running maybe on demand communicate to processes that you have running behind your firewall or on private clouds, and creating a process-to-process gateway. If you look at the state of the technology today, most companies use adapters. You know, they have an adapter that's sitting there. They're using enterprise service bus, and they're trying to connect. But we are coming with a very high-level process metaphor that you can use your processes to get information that you need from your back-office systems, and then use that process to now submit that information out to the cloud. And you may have another process running on the cloud that's going to take that and do further processing with it. So truly linking public and private clouds together. Service Cloud is our service exchange community. This provides a facility for organization to have a flexible sourcing strategy. Let's say as you're building some of these IT services for your organization, you can go and build it internally in your organization or decide to go to the exchange. So you can actually now go to the exchange and tap into a wider range of community that we are building around the exchange. Community of partners of Serena that are building solutions on top of SPM and making those available, as well as some of the solutions that Serena is building and making available in the exchange. So you can think of it as almost the app gallery that Apple has. This becomes our app gallery of all the solutions that's available publicly on the cloud that you can pull down applications into your own environment and then customize it. And that's all I had for you. Again, I want to encourage you to attend some of the breakout sessions. We have the SPM SSM roadmap at 1 o'clock, room 318. And right after that, in the same room, we are going to have a live SSM demonstration. So I wanted to thank you again for your attention, and it's a pleasure being in front of you today. Thank you so much. And please allow me to welcome David Hurwitz back onto the